Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. So today we are very, very lucky, and we've got Marcus, who is currently the number one seeded Harlequins player in the world, I believe. Right, Marcus?
Yep, for right now.
Yeah, quite the achievement, particularly in today's meta. What position are you overall in the ITC rankings at the moment?
Oh boy. I mean, last time I saw, I was like 103, but that was last Thursday, so I'm not
Still pretty good.
entirely sure.
Still pretty good. Aiming for that top 100 at least, maybe, at some
Yeah,
point. As we all know, it's very tough with the Harlequins. So, just
yeah.
got a couple of questions today from Marcus. We're going to try and get inside the mind of a successful tournament Harlequins player, because so far I am not one. So, Marcus, what drew you to Harlequins as a faction to begin with?
So I used to play, so starting 8th edition, I played Tau,
Mm,
and I just got unbelievably bored sitting there in the corner. I'm like, I ran the triple riptide, the 9 broadsides, and I got bored. And
yeah, I imagine quite easy to do if you're just sitting there and not dying and shooting and stuff. Yeah.
yeah, and I ran like the 30 drones, and it ran its course.
Yeah.
And
So it was more the play style or also the aesthetic that drew you, or just generally you wanted something different, a bit of a change?
I wanted something different. So like I wanted to play IG,
Mm,
and but I don't really like buying, like I like buying used armies people
mm,
want to get rid of. And my friend's like, well, I got Harlequin army. I
mm,
was like, okay. And so I bought his Harlequin army for like $200.
mm,
And then that's just what kickstarted. I was like, I'd never seen anybody play them
mm.
ever. I never even heard anybody talking about Harlequins. I was like, I want to try this. Let's give this a go.
Try something new. Yeah. So maybe it was the luck of the laughing god that ended up putting Harlequins in your hands then. So how long have you been playing them? When was this?
I started in October
Hmm.
of last year. Um, I picked them up. I don't have anybody to play with where I live at, and so the closest thing I can do is to go play in tournaments.
Mm,
And tournaments are about 2.5 hours away from my house. And
mm,
so I picked up the Harlequins on a Friday, and I had a 2,000 point tournament on that Saturday. I was
mm,
like, well, I read the codex. I looked at some battle reports on YouTube. I was like, well, let's give it a go. And
mm.
I got destroyed real bad.
Yeah, yeah. Not too surprising for the very first time you play one of the most difficult armies in the game to play,
Yeah.
so fair
And
enough.
like
Uh, you
the first
persevered.
yeah. I wasn't doing too bad, but that's when like Iron Hands first kit, like everyone was running the Iron Hand train and the Marines train, and I had my 6 haywire bikes run up the field with haywire bikes, and they had the good melee. I was like, cool, sweet.
Mm,
I charge his tank, kill his tank, awesome. His turn comes around and he null zones me, and that was it.
yeah.
The whole that was it for that. And
Mhm.
then that's how I found out about null zone. I was like, sweet.
Yeah. It's happened to me before as well. It's never pleasant being null.
No.
Or is it Death Hex, the other one, the one from the Chaos as well? They have a similar ability.
Something like that,
So
yeah.
just get rid of it. Yeah. Okay. So a little bit of a shaky start, but you kept going. Yeah.
Oh
So
yeah.
why have you kept going? Like, what have you found most fun about like playing the Harlequins and their play style as a whole?
I like it because, like I said, no one's really like heard of the Harlequins, and
Mm,
so that's probably one of my favorite things. I'll um I'll show up to a match, like a tournament, and it's like, oh, Eldar. I was like,
mm.
well, kinda, I guess. I mean,
Yeah.
it's the redheaded stepchild no one talks about.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, okay. And I start telling them what everything does. I'm a -1 to hit across the board. I have all haywire bikes. And
Hmm.
then I tell them, I was like, well, I have minuses to hit. um, 4 impulse saves across the board. And they're like, huh,
Mm,
well, that sounds kind of rough. I was like, yeah. And then turn 1,
mm.
always in their face. I'm always in their wire, and they're just not really prepared for it.
Yeah, that rush kind of thing, that just like the shock of and awe of like, oh wow,
Right.
everyone's right up in my face. Yeah, that's why I've gone back to the 18 haywire bikes because I just love them for that.
Mhm.
Always Everglades as far as I can. I think I've got 1 star bonus in each one just because points to me. But yeah, I love them as well. And but you play a lot more troops, don't you? As well, you like
Yeah,
playing the troops. You like the fusion pistols, which I
I
don't. But yeah,
love fusion pistols.
yeah. You must be getting that luck then, because every time I try and roll for a fusion pistol, I instantly roll a ones, all ones across the board. So that's why I'm just like, no, I want more shots because I know my fusion pistols will let me down.
Well, I used to play orcs for like a year and a half in like 6th and 7th edition. And
Mm,
so obviously I needed like sixes and it was just awful. So I like to thank the dice gods
mm,
giving back to me because I actually pull pretty above average. Like that's what kind of helps me too. And people are like, well, I think you might be cheating. I was like, no. I was like, and
mm.
I'll take their dice and I rolled the same thing. I was just like, I'm just lucky.
Just got that
I was
luck.
like, if I go to casinos, I'll lose all my money. But if I played Warhammer, I'm pretty decent.
In this game, somehow you have all the luck. Funny enough, maybe you're just stealing mine because I seem to get terrible luck. Because my first opponent at the last tournament, he I think round 2, he just looked at me and was like, "Just throw those dice in the bin, man. Just go and buy some new ones." I was like, "I threw the last ones in the bin. This is the second lot of dice that I just bought." But yeah, okay, perfect. So what would you say, like, with playing Harlequins is like the biggest challenge? Like also having only come into the army like in October, which I think is when I started playing as well, properly. Like, what's been the biggest learning curve?
Um, well, I can't, like I said, there's really nobody around me to play with. And so all I can do is theory craft. And so I'll just sit there like for a couple hours and just look at lists, build lists on my own, and I have a couple group chats I'm in, like, hey, what do you guys think about this? What do you guys think about that? And I can't go out and play, test them
Mm,
before a tournament, and so um, I brought a list to a tournament, in about December,
okay.
and it had 12 bikes and more transports, and I was playing, and my opponent was like, well, I like your list, but what about 4 fusion transports and
Mm,
then melee boats? I was like, I like that. I like that idea.
mm,
And so so far that's what's been working for me.
mm,
So, but having no one to play with around my area kind of sucks. So like I said, I gotta drive about 2 hours, two and a
mm.
half hours to go play, and that's just for tournaments. So,
Yeah.
um,
It's tough, yeah. I mean, I've been in a similar boat, so I only just got back from Asia, last year, and there is not a scene really out in the middle of Central Asia. You don't find Warhammer players, so I know that pain. And more recently, it's been nice getting some games in, but it's
yeah,
very difficult when you've got all these ideas, but you just can't test them out, isn't it?
test them out. Yeah,
Still, it's good that you're getting to as many tournaments as you are. Then, given that
yeah.
it's quite a lot of commitment in driving 2 to 2.5 hours to go and play with toy soldiers, I guess. But it's
Yeah, I'm
but it's
lucky my
pretty good
wife
too.
lucky my wife kind of supports my hobby, so which
That's
helps
good.
quite a bit.
Yeah, mine's been pretty good about it too. Sometimes with a lot of rolling eyes, but that's about as far as it goes. So.
Basically, mine too.
Okay, so we've gone through a little bit of the challenges, but when you write a list and when you're theory crafting or whatever, what are like your biggest considerations? What are the things that you prioritize, let's say, when you're trying to build a competitive list with Harlequins?
um, I gotta be able to get into their lines.
Mm,
Like I know if I sit back, I am SOL. Like I will never win a shootout. And so all I can do is get into their lines, get into their wire, and do as much damage as I can, wrap up as much things as I can, touch as much things as I can. Um, that's what I always consider. I was like, what can I do to make sure I get there fast enough?
mm.
And that's why I have a bunch of transports and I run 6 bikes just so I can get there quick.
Okay.
Because like if I stay back, SOL.
Yeah, I think generally with the Harlequins, it's not a sit back and shoot army by any stretch of the imagination. Not like your Tau triplet list, anyway.
Yeah.
Which, I did face, and I made a massive error by trying to take first turn and stop them from shooting. Not going
Nope,
to do
don't
that
work.
again. Not going to do that again.
Nope.
But okay, perfect. So with your current list, you've told us a little bit about it, but can you tell us in a bit more detail what is currently in the list? So you've got 4 fusion boats.
Yeah, so um I run so 2 battalions, 1 mixed vanguard.
Mm,
The first battalion is Shadow Seer with just basic Shadow Seer, no cool upgrades. And I always give her Shards of Light and I
mm.
always give her double move.
That's what that
And
part is, yeah.
I have a Troop Master with the fusion pistol
Mm-hmm.
and then the Talon Relic
Mm,
because I love making that fusion boat go 28 inches.
mm-hmm.
And then I run 4 fusion boats,
Mm-hmm.
5 man, um, all fusion pistols. And then I do 6 haywire bikes. I
Mm-hmm.
don't do the special melee upgrade because I don't want to kill what I touch in combat. I want to stick there. And then I have the 4 transports for
Mm-hmm.
that battalion. Then I have a second battalion of Nightmares of Flesh
Mm-hmm.
and 2 shadows. I'm sorry, 2 troop masters, both with caresses.
Mm-hmm.
And then I have 3 troops. Um, they have like 2 units have 3 caresses, and then 1 unit has 2 caresses, and then the rest of them are just melee guys slapping. And then I run 3 boats with them. I like them because that deny Overwatch
Yeah,
strat, you can't beat it.
yeah.
Like I love it so much. And then my mixed Vanguard attachment, I have Troop Master. No, I'm sorry, I have a Shadow Seer. My bad.
Not second shadows here, yeah.
Yep. And then I have 2 Death Jesters, and then I
Mm.
have my Solitaire. And my Death Jester with the Curtain Call, always my Warlord. I love it.
Same here,
And
yeah. He's my
I
too.
I love them. Like you give them the Will of the Laughing God, reroll ones. God, it's so I love it. And then
To give him Twilight Pathways because you still get the one reroll, but then getting the CPs back because I tend to have I don't run the dual battalion a lot of the time, so I need the CPs as many as I can because I'm starting with like 10. So yeah.
yeah, I start with 14. Well, my Solitaire usually has the rose on it. I also like
Mm.
the no Overwatch. Not that's not the rose. That's the remnant. I like the remnant one too because reroll wounds and flat 3 damage against infantry.
Yeah, that's Kagorix Rose. Yeah, yeah. It's
Pretty.
it's a really good relic. I think without it, the solitaire is like a bit of an expensive take, but then when you have him with that, it's like it's kind of probably worth it.
Yeah. I have 14 CP starting out,
Mm,
but then I got to spend 3 CP because the extra relics. And
yeah.
so I started out the game with 11 CP.
Mm.
So
Do you find that enough actually, like to be able to do what you need to do with the army? I often find that I run out of CPs quite quickly.
so sometimes yeah, so like I'll have 11 CP starting out, and then you spend a couple for Heroes Pathway.
Hmm.
There's that, and then you spend 1 CP for the Death Chesters double shots,
Hmm.
3 more. So I can spend about 5 or 6 in one turn. I'm just like, well, crap. And
Yeah.
that's how I lost against Iron Hands about a month ago because I was supposed to charge in with my solitaire
Mm,
and do the ignore Overwatch strat.
mm.
And I had 2 CP instead of 3. And I didn't realize that. And I charged in. I was like, crap. And that's how I lost that game. So the solitaire is supposed to charge in there, touch it, all the Thunderfire cannons,
Mm.
and be done. But I didn't. And she got shot up.
Yeah, it's I think I've been using that same solitaire combo where I was using it a few months ago, and I'm going back to it. Like that mixed Vanguard is really really good. I find just being able
Yeah.
to like have that access to lots of different relics and stratagems like really really helps.
Yeah.
I tried a double battalion, but I think I just like bikes too much, and so I always found that I was using like 5 just base troops, which gave up
Yeah.
kill points, and I wasn't really doing very much with. And I was like, why am I even taking these? You know, so I felt like I was wasting the points in the end. So on that note of like the CP and everything, I think it sounds like a very strong list. I think, as I say, you've probably got a lot more luck with those fusion pistols than I do. But generally, what do you find like are your favorite stratagems? I mean, we've mentioned the deny Overwatch stratagem. Are there any others in there that in the book that you think are really, really useful or really count towards your tactics and your strategy?
Um, Definitely Hero's Path. Like, I love it. I always set up my solitaire, my Shadow Seer that has double move, and my Death Jester with Curtain Call. So I
Mm-hmm.
always put them up and as far up as I can. And no, we play with magic boxes here.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I hate it, sometimes I don't. But I'll put my solitaire in a magic box with 10 inches away from the opponent.
Mm-hmm.
I'll put my I pre-measure 22 inches on my for my bike's movement, and
Mm-hmm.
then I'll move my bikes. Then I put my shadow seer right there. That way I can double move. And then
Yeah.
I usually put my curtain call, death gesture on a more or less like an objective usually,
Mm.
and just he'll just sit there. He'll never get shot because I have 7 transports up front and everything else up front. And then um, what's it called? I'm bad with the names. The blur giving the bike a 3-up invul save when
Prismatic.
they advance. Love it. You
Hmm.
can't leave home without that.
Yeah, I
Uh,
think many of us love that one. I think you can't really play a Harlequins list. I like to double use it if I can. So, you know,
I If I ran more bike units, I definitely would.
yeah,
But I only run one, so I'm not too worried about it.
yeah.
Um, and then I like using fire and fade. I use the fire and fade a lot, so I'll move up. I'll advance my transport that has the relic talon. So I move up 28 inches.
Hmm.
Then I shoot the shuriken cannons at whatever I want, and then I fire and fade. Then you go an extra 7 inches, and
Mm.
now you're in melter range of whatever you want.
Yeah,
And so I've gotten into a lot of debates. They're like, "Well, you can't do that. You can't shoot your fusion pistols." I was like, "Yeah, I can. They're
yeah.
2 different units." They're
Hmm.
like, "No." I was like, "Sorry, bud."
Yep, you can. It's
Uh,
it's been shown several times. I think this was a debate a few months ago, but it's resolutely come down on the side of yeah, you can do that. So it's no problem with that one. It's a
yeah,
nice cheeky little bit of extra range for
it
those
really is.
highly
Makes you,
short range 6-inch fusion
yeah.
pistols.
And everyone's like, "Well, what's the distance of your fusion pistols?" I was
Mm.
like, 6 inches. I was like, "Oh, so you gotta be in my face." Ha ha ha. I was like, "Yeah,
Yep. Yeah,
yep,
don't worry. I'll be there.
yep, exactly." That's what I was like, "I'll be there. Turn one, turn two. Don't you worry."
You worry
Um,
about your thing. I'll concentrate on mine.
right.
Yeah.
I also use example made. That's the double shots for my
Yeah.
current ball, and just being strength 7, AP 2. It's nice.
It
Um,
is really nice.
And like I like having the Laughing God
Mhm.
uh, Warlord traits. So I just reroll one, so I'm always gonna have hopefully 6 shots. Sometimes I get hot and I roll triple sixes, and I'm
Mhm.
just like, nice.
Machine gun death jester, basically. Yeah, no, I actually a lot of them the same. I love the deny Overwatch stratagem. Before I was plugging in the solitaire just for that, for my mixed vanguard and basically just plugging him in to do that. And yeah, just an example made is great. I've tried using it with the other one with the D3 damage one a couple
Yeah.
of times. It's okay sometimes. Like I found like if I have an eliminator and I need those eliminators gone because my characters need protecting, then I'll maybe do that so that I can get the extra damage on that, and then the extra D3 mortal wounds on the rest of the unit, and then they're at -2 leadership, and then sometimes they also flee, and then I've gotten a bit lucky with that sometimes, but
Yeah.
yeah, I do think an example made is just top. It's really really
I
good.
like I like shooting like a 5-man Marine squad and then having my um, second battalion of Nightmare Flesh
Mm,
close by. That way they're extra minus
mm.
leadership, make them roll 2 dice. Usually 9 times out of 10, that 5-man squad will just disappear. I was like, nice.
I keep wanting to play. I did play one game with it. I feel like it might still have game, but I was toying with like a bit of a bomb with that, with the Mask of Secrets for -1 leadership. Then yeah, Silent Shroud, so Nightmares Made Flesh for the extra -1. Then my Death Jester for -2, and then
Yeah.
targeting with Shards of Light for -5 in total, and then doing 3 smites, 1 Shards of Light, and then basically getting all my Death Jesters as well lining up and doing the same, just bombing that one unit and just being like, right, that's it, you're gone. I was toying with that. I kind of feel like I might pull it out again at some point, just see how it does.
Yeah.
I'm absolutely in agreement with a lot of those stratagems, I have to say. And then there are really weird ones like just the 6-inch heroic intervene, or like the 6-inch advance sometimes, so just like
Yeah.
for objective grabbing or stuff. But yeah, those are good. Perfect. So, for new Harlequins players, like people just starting out with the army, or maybe even just starting out with a hobby in the army, which admittedly I wouldn't advise, but you do you. What kind of advice would you give to people starting out and just trying to sort of get a feel for the army?
Um, the first couple of games is 100% rough. Like there ain't because all these other people, all their armies have super cool toys.
Mm-hmm.
They got knights, they got walkers, they have giant tanks, and all you have is a couple transports and a couple nimble figures with a fusion pistol or like a caress, and you're like, well, this kind of sucks.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm telling you, man, once you start blowing up this transport, like blowing up their tanks, blowing up their knights with your like my 5-man fusion is like 80 something points, 90 something points. It's super cheap.
Mm-hmm.
But the look of the expression, when you ride up with your transport, blow up their tank, blow up their knight, if you're rolling hot, you're like, yeah, my 90-point transport just blew up 200, 300 points. And
Yeah.
I love it.
Mm-hmm.
And like, I know after once you start doing that, it feels awesome.
Yeah.
But and it kind, I mean, and they're all weak. T3, everything can hurt them on like on a 3 and a 4 and
Mm-hmm.
twos. Um, the 4 pinball save helps us out quite a bit. I wish we had like a kind of like a cool feel no pain, but I guess beggars can't be choosers.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, we don't have all that many units, but I mean, the units that we have are great. But as you say, it's like in some ways, even after the points drop, we're still paying through the nose for that 4-up in run save,
Yeah,
which I think is the bigger issue. Like if I'm playing my Drakari, um, my Dark Elder, and I'm paying like 30 points for 5 Cablite Warriors, you know,
yeah,
comparison to when I'm playing my Harlequins, where I'm just like 55 points with no upgrades and no range and no abilities and nothing. Like, well, not sure about that.
I
But
do um I do love our flip belts. I love how we can ignore terrain, ignore models, like ignore like the vertical movement.
mhm.
I love it. It's so good.
It's so fun in a tournament as well, where someone's just like, "Oh, but you need to." No, I don't.
I know.
Nope, no, you need to do that. I ignore all of that stuff. Don't you worry. No,
Yeah,
I love
that's one of my favorite things too. Like, oh, your death gesture can't be that close. Not death gesture. I'm sorry. Your solitaire can't do this, this, and this. You can't run up the wall. I was like,
it. Yep, you
yep,
can. Yep,
yep.
he
And your
doesn't.
Space Marine captain's now dead.
Hmm.
So
Yeah, no, it's fantastic that those sort of little rules. It's quite nice. But then, as you say, as a whole, we're not in the best place right now. Not in comparison to some of the other crazy stuff that these armies can do. But on that note, do you have any predictions for what we might see maybe coming out for the Harlequins and Psychic Awakening in the future?
well, I feel like we're going to be the last Psychic Awakening book, because um, they started Psychic Awakening with the Shadow Seer talking, and I feel like they're going to end it with the Shadow Seer talking.
Yeah,
Uh, Man, I'd be so happy if they make a character on a bike.
a lot of
Like
people think so. Yeah,
that would be fantastic. I don't know if they're going to give us another troop choice, like mines. That'd be fantastic. Another troop choice, but honestly, like there's really not much lore with the
Mm,
Harlequins. You can't be like, oh, they can have Wraith Knights or this, and this. But
mm.
um, if I had to put money on it, I would say a character on a bike.
I think a character is the most likely. I think like I'm not that fussed if we don't get one on a bike personally,
Mm.
because we've got the extra transport room. Like it's not like with the Dark Eldar where you either have to take a raider just so that you can have enough room, or you
Yeah,
take venom, but then your character's walking around on foot. Like I
yeah.
think Star Weavers as a result are like one of the best transports in the game just because you've got
Oh
that
yeah.
extra character spot. But yeah, I personally I want those mimes. I've said if mimes get released, then I'll be drinking champagne on the channel. Like I want those mimes. If we get mimes, I'll be so happy. Another one that someone sort of talked about, which I thought was a really cool idea, was like Black Library Guardians. Like having not
Ooh,
guardians like Eldar Guardians, but some kind of crazy
cool.
sort of yeah, cool like just guards there trying to stop everyone, all the crazy chaos bastards getting into the library, basically.
That'd be
So
super cool.
yeah,
Or and better heavy choice option.
yeah, anything with range might be quite nice. I
Yeah,
think that would be nice. I've said this sort of on the channel as well. Like, I'd love there to be like a stratagem for the Death Jester to make them a little bit more effective. Something like that they can give like a reroll ones bubble to shooting units for like
yeah,
a turn, just like a stratagem. That would help them like see a little bit more play or like be a little bit more worthwhile including rather than just as attacks or as a character to hold curtain fall, so
yeah,
basically, so that would be nice, but it's all predictions, I guess.
yeah. If I can't, whatever we get, I'll be happy with it.
Yeah, me too. If I'm honest, I'm wish listing, but at the same time, I know I'm going to be happy whatever happens.
Yeah,
I feel like it would be nice if we're the last ones, if they gave small consideration to expanding our range. Mechanicus have done amazingly recently, and a few other armies that have really kind of like seen a lot of expansion over the last year. Would be nice to see
yeah.
our range expanded.
I wish we get a couple more units, a little bit more options. You
Yeah,
know?
I think personally it's going to be War of the Spider with what's his name? Um, I want to call him Fabulous Bill because that's what everyone calls him. Fabulous Bile. That's the one with like his entourage with Necrons and Harlequins. That would be my prediction for what that book is going to be.
Yeah, I was thinking like sisters
Mm.
Harlequins and Necrons,
Mm.
but there's really not that many bad guys left.
Well, yeah, that's why. Have you seen the new they're bringing Fabulous Bile basically back. Fabius Bile. You know, the Emperor's Children like cloning guy. So
Okay, yeah,
there's been some previews to show he is coming in the book called War of the Spider. I personally think that's going to be the last book, and it will be Necrons, him with some weird mutated Emperor's Children stuff,
yeah.
and the Harlequins coming to try and stop them all.
That'd be really cool.
Yeah, I think it would be great for the narrative as well, personally. You know, but that's just me. Anyway, so when's your next event? I mean, with all this craziness going on right now, are there any events around you anymore that haven't been cancelled?
So there's actually quite a few for
Mm,
now until they decide to ban all gatherings.
mm,
Um, I do have one in Hutchinson, Kansas. It's called Baby Seal Party. Oh, I'm
mm.
sorry, Baby Seal Rave. And
Okay.
it's about 13, 14 of us going
Mm,
down and going to play there in the local game store on
mm,
Sunday, which kind of sucks. By the time I drive back home, it's about 10 p.m. and
yeah.
you know I gotta go to work the next day. And then the weekend after that, it's about 2 weeks.
Mm,
There's Adepticon got canceled, right? And
yeah.
so the I'm part of the Flying Monkeys group,
Mhm.
gaming group here in Kansas, and
Very grim
they're
dark.
yeah, and well, it's also because from Kansas we have the Wizard of Oz,
Mm,
and so they kind of played on words with Flying Monkeys. But since Adepticon is canceled,
mm.
we're holding a GT down in one of the gaming stores. It'll be a 2 day event, 4 rounds on one day on Saturday, and one event one
Awesome.
day there, and then 3 weeks
Mm.
it will be another 2K point game list tournament. Sorry, and then in 4 weeks there's another GT. So
Mm.
I should have a tournament about every single weekend, as
Amazing.
long as the wife approves.
Yeah. To be fair, that is one of the amazing things about the States. I mean, when I was there, it was a quiet season, really. But yeah, here in Italy, we were going to be lucky to be allowed out the house in 3 weeks' time, you know. But
Yeah,
we'll see. Hopefully, that will all pick up again. And I'm also looking at maybe if I can save up for it, maybe going to the LGT or something when they finally do finalize it. See if I can get hold of a ticket.
yeah.
Go and meet my friend Rob out there and see how it all goes.
I do want to try to go to LVO next year. I do want to try to win that cool trophy for number one Harlequin player.
Yeah,
My goal, but
that was I was sort of thinking that I wanted this year to do a lot of tournaments, go to the LGT next year, but with all this, it's just in Europe at the moment. It's just not possible, and
yeah,
again, I had to move for work as well. It's the curse of being an English teacher, I guess. You end up having to live everywhere other than in England. Um,
right.
but yeah, so it's going to be a bit difficult this year, but I'm hoping to get to a couple of tournaments in the area too.
Yeah, that's like I said. So far, I mean, none of our events have been canceled, but like I said, they just canceled school for all of Kansas,
Mm,
and they locked down staying no more than 50 people in one single building.
yeah,
So who knows what's going to happen?
yeah. Well, let's see. Hopefully, fingers crossed, Nurgle will leave us alone soon enough, and we'll all be back to gaming and spending time with each other and go to tournaments and trying to,
Right.
you know, figuratively beat the crap out of each other. Well, Marcus, I think that's everything from today. Thank you very much. Do you have any last points to tell anyone, any of the Harlequins community, anything you want to share?
Just keep going, guys. Like I mean, like I said, our army isn't top A, top B. We're probably a good tier C army, but you just gotta keep going, and you gotta try to find the right list that works for you.
Yeah,
And the first dozen games, it's gonna suck. It hurts. I know it, but after a while, you start like, okay,
Mhm.
God plays for objectives. You know, I
Yeah.
always go for objectives. I always go for bonus. Turn one, you should be in their lines. That way, you should have at least, four objectives, one on at least four objectives, and you should be able to get the bonus turn one. Should, who knows?
Mm.
Um, but you guys gotta keep going and just kind of play smart, I guess.
Yeah, definitely with the new ITC, that helps us out a little bit as well for that playing to the mission kind of idea, isn't it?
Yeah, like we'll never win a shootout
No.
ever, but like shoot the new ITC missions, they're made for Eldar. Like all the secondary missions made for Eldar.
Yeah.
Easy peasy. You need
Yeah.
22 inches. You know, like by turn two, you should already start getting 2 points per turn for recon and 2 points per turn for behind enemy lines.
Yeah.
Like,
That's what Heroes Path is for.
yeah,
Yeah. Love it. Okay, perfect. Thank you so much for your time, Marcus. Thanks for sharing, your insights into the hobby and into the faction as well today. And thanks for being on the channel.
I appreciate you asking me to come on, man.
Yeah, it's been great. Thanks a lot. And thanks to you guys for tuning in and for watching. This has been Ghost of the Webway. This has been Marcus. I've been Kit. This has been all about the Harlequins. And see you next time. Take care.
See you guys.